Welcome to Soltron. Gojuer is over, and in another month we'll probably get an announcement for what the next Sentai series is. So I figured I would just go over my entire Sentai collection, which is what you see in front of you. So this is everything I have now. And there's probably a few pieces that I'm going to be selling off, but I think I really like a lot of these final forms, so I just want to go through them one by one. And of course, I've done videos for all of these pretty much, but I thought it'd just be nice to just review the year. So we got the Gojuer on this side, and he's like riding the Ryo Tega sword, because why not? And then the Boom Boonger. And then we got Dawn Brothers in the back. And then the Gekki Ranger Robo, or Gekki Toa, on side IO. And then Kira Major, which had a lot of work done on him. And then Magi Ranger. And then King Gojuer. And that's pretty much everybody. Alright, let's start with the oldest one, which is the Magi Ranger Robo. And of course I put a lot of different articulation into this guy. So he's got articulated hips, elbows, his ball joint neck, and then I took out Pink from the combination and she just stands on his shoulder now. But I think that looks pretty good, just to make his chest a little bit smaller, just to give him better proportions. And I think his proportions now are pretty epic. And he's got, like I said, a lot of articulation. He was very chunky, this robot. So now that he's full of ball joints, he's got a lot of articulation and he's slimmed down a lot just to make him look a little bit cleaner. His side profile is still kind of ugly to look at. But yeah, you can of course watch the review for this robot and you can see that all of the individual modes also have articulation now. And I think this robot just turned out really good. He's very sleek looking. So I really liked how this one was a lot of fun to do. I actually did this kind of custom twice, really. So this is the second attempt. All right, and this combination is kind of a work in progress. So I haven't completed this one yet. So this is a little bit of a cheat. But it's gonna look something like this. You can see there's like little boosters on the leg pieces now. And that comes from the Manta Ray backpack. And he's got like the ball from the Gekki elephant will be on the back of his spear, lance kind of object. And then he's gonna hold the shield in his hand. And then the Gekki elephant is gonna form the head. So I think this will be my final combination for the Gekki Toa. And I just, you can see this booster is already falling off. I just love the way this thing looks. He's just so over the top. And he's probably the biggest combination I have out of all my robots. Yeah, I just love this mashup of different animals. He just looks completely insane. So this will probably be the next custom that I work on. I'm really excited to get back to work on this guy. I haven't done anything with him for a few years. And then moving forward several years in time, oh man, maybe this is like 20 years later. So I got a really huge gap in my collection, but we've got the Kira Major, or Kira Meijin. And this robot's so terrible, especially when he first came out. I feel like the custom really helped with his proportions, and of course you can kind of tell what's going on. I just put together two Kira Majors, or two Kira Meijins, and just kind of bulked him up wherever I could and just try to fix his proportions up as much as possible. But you can still see he's a little awkward looking, but he's definitely more playable. He's got a lot more ball joints, of course, a lot more articulation. So this guy's also still kind of a work in progress. He's not quite finished, and before I sell him off, I do want to finish him up and then post that video. And then shortly after, we had, of course, Dono ni Taijin, which was one of the greatest Sentai robots ever made. I think most people would agree. He's a little bit messed up right now because he fell over, but he's incredibly massive. So the custom I did, I gave him like this spear, this giant spear weapon, and then putting all the gold armor on him from the, I forget what it's called, the Mikoshi. So I think that really completes his look, and then he's got the rest of the Mikoshi up here to make the spear tip. So just a huge spear weapon, which I think looks pretty good with him. Um, yeah, the design team just went all out on this. It was just so crazy and wild, and it just fit. It just made sense, even though it didn't seem to take itself too seriously. All right, and then stepping forward a little bit in time, we get King Oger, which I think in a lot of ways was a really great series. Still had awesome articulation, but the final combination I think was very weak. So I had to customize that by adding these combination arms, which are definitely not official, and then giving him some extra little articulation, and then putting the gold pieces of his legs on the outside part, just to bring all the gold pieces together a little bit better. But I think this is a pretty epic combination, and it combines with the castle. Like, what else can you really ask for? Yeah, a really great series. Three really good robots that were all fun to play with. I couldn't really work in the tarantula here, but I think this mode just kind of works. So, really enjoyed this series. And then a year later, we got this, which this robot caught me completely by surprise. I started collecting this really late in the series. It wasn't until this second robot came out, the Wan Robo, I don't know what it's called, but until the Lion came out, the Lion fire engine, I really just did not have any interest in collecting this series. But then after that combination was revealed, I just had to have it because the red armor on him just looked really great. And then you get this like surprise final form, which uses almost every car, every piece, which wasn't official in any way, but I think it still looks really excellent, and it's nice you can just put this together without any customizing. Of course, I did customize him. I just customized his elbows here, and then I did give him knee joints, which don't really work. And then I gave him these, like his cape pieces are ball jointed. Oh, and then of course like his ball jointed neck so he can look around. But I think even if you don't do those customs, this is still a really fun toy to play with and is really, I think, overlooked. This was a surprisingly good series that I think was kind of slept on. I really recommend it. And then of course that leads us to this year, Gojuer. And I think they really messed up on the final form. But of course I can customize, so I can just make whatever I want basically. And I think this final form is very ridiculous, but I just like how over the top it is, and it uses all the different weapons that I have, so everything does come together. Of course, you don't see the Eagle Shooter, which everybody asks about. I just hate that robot. And the Deca Caliber, I didn't really like that either. So those are just left out of the combo. That's fine. He still has his 5 rings up here in the giant ring. So as far as I'm concerned, everything's accounted for. It is too bad there's like no green in here. There's a lot of yellow, but I do like the 5 masks on top. The samurai sword, just everything about this robot comes together in such a fun way. It's a shame that the official version doesn't let you do anything like this. It really would have benefited by just letting you go a little crazy. And then of course the Rio Tegasaur, there's no space for that. You can't really peg that on anywhere, so you might as well just have it down here and he can just ride on top. And if you saw that review I did, he's got these like stirrups so that he can actually stand on top pretty securely. So I'm not too worried about this falling over and shattering into 1,000 pieces. But yeah, it's been a great year. It's been a great... Man, I'd say even the last 10 years of Sentai have been pretty great. Maybe, yeah, even as far back as 2020 with Kira Major. I think it's been a pretty good time for me. I am looking forward to seeing what they come up with next year. There might be some series that I just skip over, like Rio Solger. But for the most part, I think they've been really doing it up and making some great series. So hopefully it'll continue being popular, and I don't know, hopefully next year's, when it's announced in December, hopefully the next toys are going to be as fun as this one to customize. But if you can't customize, I can see why a lot of these years have probably been very disappointing. But for me, I've been having a good time, and I definitely encourage you to go back into my archives and check out those videos if you liked any of these customs, and I'll see you in the next one.